Hello, everybody. We are returning to the April 8th, 2026 meeting of the Board of Labor Standards. Today, the board heard testimony in the matter of Smith versus Petrangelo. Is there a motion?
There's a motion. I'll make a motion that we deny the Petrangelo appeal.
Okay, Mr. Iding makes a motion to deny the appeal from Petrangelo. I will take roll.
If you
Is
need,
there a second?
I second it. Second
We have a
motion.
second from Dan Sullivan, and now I will take roll. Daisy Cruz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Pat Iding,
Yes.
Dan Sullivan,
Yes.
and myself, Brian Clinton, is a yes. That is 4 yeses. So the motion passes. The Board of Labor Standards denies the appeal on behalf of Petrangelo. Okay, thanks, everyone. We appreciate your
Thank
time
you.
today. We look
All
forward to
right.
hearing from you. Yes,
Thank
ma'am?
you.
Thank you.
It was nice meeting
Thank
you. all.
you.
All right. Thanks,
Have a
guys.
good week.
Bye-bye.
Hi.
Thanks, Amy. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy. We appreciate your
I
help.
promise you, next month will be
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Brian Clinton. This is the April 8th, 2026 meeting of the Board of Labor Standards. Today on the agenda, we have Smith versus Petrangelo. I'm going to get started by calling roll for our board members. Please respond by saying present. Valerie J. Cofield. Okay. Daisy Cruz.
present.
Thank you. Patrick J. Iding.
Present.
Dan Sullivan.
Present.
Thank you. And again, my name is Brian Clinton. I am the chair. Let me let Andrew back in the meeting. Okay. During our last hearing, the parties were directed to submit any additional documentation, such as timesheets demonstrating where Mr. Smith was working on the dates in question and for how long at such locations. I am going to give both parties the opportunity to briefly put their new exhibits into context before calling any witnesses. City of Philadelphia, you may go first if you want to give a brief 1 or 2 minute description to put these exhibits into context.
We have no further exhibits. We do have the testimony of Mr. Smith to present today. But as far as documentary exhibits, nothing further after the last hearing.
Okay, thank you. Petrangelo, do you have anything?
Yeah, so after the last hearing, we did submit 3 additional weekly payroll records. So they dated 2021, 2022, and 2023. And then this past week, we did submit another exhibit, number 13, and that is daily logs for months in which Mr. Smith worked in 2021.
Okay, thank you. City of Philadelphia, do you wish to call a witness?
Yes, we would call Mr. Smith, but we are not the moving party here. I believe Petrangelo presented first at the last hearing.
Okay. Petrangelo, do you have any witnesses?
Yes, we do. So Petrangelo calls Amadeo Petrangelo.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Wait,
Yes, Ellen.
The court reporter's going to swear in the witnesses, is that correct?
Yes, I can do that for you. Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay.
Let me see. Where
And-
are they?
Is Mr. Smith's camera is
There we go.
perfect?
Mr. Smith, would you please raise your right hand? Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Petrongola, would you please raise your right hand? Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, yes.
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. I'll begin. Amadeo, how long have you been employed by Petrangelo for?
Since 2011.
And what is the title of your current position?
Project manager.
And approximately how long have you served in the project manager role for?
Probably about 5 to 6 years.
And prior to serving as project manager, what role did you have?
I was foreman, before that an operator and a truck driver.
So in the foreman role, approximately how long did you serve in that capacity?
Probably 5 years as a foreman as well.
And in those 5 years, can you explain some of the general responsibilities that you had?
Responsibilities including, I guess, tracking progress of the job, quantities we would install for different bid items, recording employees' hours and times, tracking the weather, ordering material, ordering trucks.
Now, you mentioned tracking time. How do employees generally report their hours?
Employees, well, all employees really report their hours. I would say the foreman report the hours.
Can you explain what that process looks like?
Well, it would be just a handwritten log the foreman would have, and then he would transfer that onto a sheet. And the sheets would go into payroll.
So I'm now going to share my screen. One moment. Actually, my apologies. I don't have the capability to do so. It says that only meeting organizers and presenters can share.
Yeah, give me 1 moment.
Thank you.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Mr. Petrangolo, if you could, are you able to speak up just a tad? It's a little
Yes.
bit low
Is that
on my end.
better?
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Lauren, I should have changed the controls for you.
Yes, I just shared my screen. Mr. Petrangelo, are you able to see a document on your screen that I have just
Yes.
shared?
Yes, I can.
And it has a sticker on the top right corner titled Exhibit PCI 13. Is that correct?
I see that, yes.
Can you describe for me what this document is? And I'll slowly scroll down so that you can see the full first page.
It looks like a daily report that would be handed in.
And when you say handed in, can you describe that process again for me?
Well, I guess the log would be taken of different employees and their hours. It would be written down and then turned in.
And just to confirm, who writes down an employee's name and the hours on these sheets?
I guess whoever's, mainly responsible for that employee. As like the foreman. typically.
Now, do you see an employee's name listed on this particular sheet?
Yes,
And what employee is identified?
that is Andrew Smith, Andrew S.
And I'm going to scroll a little bit further down. Under the date section, can you please read for me where this employee was assigned?
Yard shop.
And can you describe for me what the yard or shop is?
The yard is where, and the shop is where we maintain equipment and trucks and store and house materials for the job sites.
Okay, and after a foreman completes these daily logs, what happens next?
They would get turned in to the office, which I guess they would then put together the payroll.
And in your role when you served as a foreman, did you complete logs just as these?
Yes, I completed daily reports as a foreman.
So you would say that these reports were maintained within the ordinary course of business for Petrangelo.
Yes,
I would now like to move PCI's Exhibit 13 into evidence.
No objection.
I'm going to stop screen sharing for the moment. Okay, during the course of Andrew's employment, did you have any direct contact with him?
yeah, no, either at the yard or anywhere else. No, not typically.
And you had mentioned that part of your duties during that time was supervising project sites. Is that correct?
Yes,
And at any time during Andrew's employment, was he assigned to work on one of your project sites?
I've never worked with Andrew on one of my sites.
And I know we just reviewed the documents, but can you advise again, where was Andrew Smith assigned to work during the 2021 year?
Yard shop.
Okay. And I know we had talked about the process of a foreman filling out these sheets and then it being reported to supervisors. After that point, what additional duties, if any, do foremen have in tracking time for employees?
Other duties they would have to, other than tracking employees' times?
Correct. So if, for example, an employee had a concern regarding their pay, did you receive any complaints?
Well, if there was complaints an employee had, they would come in, yes.
Okay, and to your knowledge, did Andrew ever make any complaints about his pay?
There was no complaints made to my knowledge, no.
Okay, all right, no further questions for this witness.
I do have a few brief questions for Cross.
Go ahead.
So I would like to also share my screen. I currently do not have the capability to do that.
There you go.
Okay, great. Brief indulgence. I am just trying to bring up Mr. Petrangelo. Can you see the document that we were talking about, PCI 13?
Yes,
Okay. So it was your testimony that a foreman would fill this document out?
yes.
Okay. But there's no Do you know who filled these documents out?
I'm not sure who would have filled those ones out, no.
So typically for these time logs, is there a place for the foreman to put his name?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would think so, yes.
So do you know why there's no space in any of PCI, what's been labeled PCI 13 for a foreman to have identified himself?
I'm not sure, why it's like that. Yeah, this isn't
Okay.
a report I made.
Okay. Okay. And I see here that it simply says Andrew S. Do you have any other Andrew S's working for Petrangelo?
I don't think so, no.
How many employees does Petrangelo currently employ?
About 25.
Okay. And in 2021, 2022, do you know how many employees Petrangelo employed at that point?
I would have to guess. I'm not really sure.
And so, sorry,
Yeah.
in 2021, 2022, are you aware of any other Andrew S's that were employed by Petrangelo?
I'm not aware of any others, no.
Oh, okay. I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you. Board members, do you have any questions?
I do. On that form that they just showed it said 8-2. There's no hours there. And then on the bottom, it came to 8-3 and it said the hours. Is that correct? I just see that.
Would you like me to share the screen again?
Please,
Please.
yes.
Now see that's 8-4. And then go to the top one, which is 8-2. I don't see any hours. That's what I was looking at. Like, see there, 8-2. I don't see no hours. And then 8-3, there's hours. Right? And then 8-4, there's hours, but I was wondering why 8-2. Just says out.
Mr. Petrangelo, do you have?
I guess he was out that day.
Okay.
Okay.
So
That's
that would reflect that on 8-2, he was not at work. He was out that day. The rest of the days
perfect.
where there's hours, I'm assuming, that reflects the number of hours.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I have a quick question. When it says yard, where is the yard located?
No, that's in Belmar, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any members of the board have additional questions?
Not at this time.
I have another quick question. The redactions that we're seeing, the blacked out portions, do we know what is redacted?
Yes, I can speak to that. That is other employees identifying information.
Thank
These are
you.
daily logs, so it includes the list of all
Right,
employees
yeah,
on that page.
other employees' information. Great. It looks like there are no further
I have a
questions.
question.
Okay,
Brian,
I'm
I have a
sorry.
question.
Go ahead, Pat.
When it indicates to Amadeo, when it indicates yard, are you physically in the yard where he's working, or is that just something you know?
Well, I was never in charge of the yard guys or the shop. So I wouldn't know, I wouldn't know the answer to that.
So if you were to fill this form out that says yard, I'm guessing you filled that out, and you wouldn't know whether he was in the yard or not then physically, right?
Another employee filled these forms out. I did not
Okay.
fill these forms out.
Okay. So the person who fills them out, do they document their name on the form that they filled it out? For example,
I-
your name be on the form that you filled out to show that you were the one filling it out?
I would, you know, how other guys do, I guess, you know, their paperwork, I can't talk to that.
But as far as you know, it's not a requirement that the supervisor or foreman sign the timesheet?
No, there's no required signature to sign the time sheet or to put your name on it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Another quick question. Would you be able, when it says yard shop, would you be able to just describe what typically would be the normal like course of work for someone working in the yard or shop?
Yes, at the yard or shop, I mean, you know, if the mechanics are working there, fixing the trucks and different parts might need to get picked up. And then, you know, we might get calls in from different foremen or project managers that materials needed on the job site, and then they would have to get taken up to the job site. Yeah, or equipment goes down on the job site, flat tires, fuel be brought up. Yeah, those types of things.
So, Amadeo, is the yard and the shop the same location?
It is, yes.
Okay. So the other part that the work would be done would be on the site? On the work
The
site?
other, well, those would be different timesheets. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Brian, can I ask it?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, I guess this question might be directed to Lauren. On that timesheet, the names that are blocked out, would that possibly be a foreman that maybe
Oh, so
would
the
be
name-
able to?
Understood. The names that are blocked out are other yard workers or truck drivers that are reported within this form. We did not block out any signature of a supervisor or the foreman on the project.
So I guess you're saying that the foreman did not sign this. Is that what I'm getting out of that?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Lauren,
I'm sorry.
would you-
This is Daisy. I do have a question.
go ahead, Daisy.
I noticed on some of the exhibits where it says Andrew S. that under, I guess, right to the right, I guess the comments where he would work at. I don't notice that, and even though it's redacted, you can see that it goes over just a little bit where it says yard and shop. The stuff that was redacted, would it say yard and shop for those other employees? Or, because I think I'm assuming that this timesheet is just for everybody that was at the yard or the shop. Am I right to assume that?
So depending on what their role is and where they're stationed, it will either be a truck driver designation or a yard and shop. So for individuals in which it doesn't go over, they may be classified as a truck driver, and that's why a specific site did not need to be written in.
Okay.
Lauren, would you be able to tell us how many hours that Andrew would have been working out of New Jersey on this timesheet?
For these timesheets, when he's in the yard, it's exclusively out of the Belmar, New Jersey location.
Thank you.
Another question, Brian. I could, Lauren or Amadeo. So a person could be in the shop today on Monday and then Tuesday working on a job site someplace. Is that what I'm understanding?
For union employees or if they're assigned to a prevailing wage project. However, here, Andrew was not assigned to a site. Sites, as Amadeo had testified, have different log sheets. And so if Andrew had logged attendance on a project site, his name would be featured on a project site log. Whereas here, as you can see, all of the daily logs feature his name, and some do in fact state that he was assigned to the yard or shop. If he was assigned to a project site, his name would not be on these logs.
Well, yes, that's what I was trying to establish, whether this one particular person could be not multi positions. In other words, he could be on the job site for a week and maybe in the shop for 2 days and back on the job site again, that kind of thing is what happens with the individual? They're not specifically yard people, in other words.
So here he was exclusively assigned to the yard and shop. And I believe the records that we produced in 13 are for the entirety of the 2021 year. So you'll see that on nearly every date in which he worked, it will designate yard/shop.
Thank you,
So,
on mute.
not to confuse the questions anymore, but that's, I guess what I'm trying to establish is this gentleman that we're talking about ever work on a site? Or is he strictly hired to work in the shop and the yard?
So in 2021, when he was hired, he was exclusively hired to work at the yard and the shop.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional questions from the board? Thank you. Lauren, do you have any additional witnesses?
I do not.
Thank you. Amy, do you have any witnesses?
Yes, I would call Mr. Smith at this time. All right. Mr. Smith, you've been sworn in. Can you please state your name for the record again?
Yes, ma'am. Andrew John Smith.
Okay. And were you at some point employed by Petrangelo Contractors?
Yes, ma'am.
And approximately when did you begin your employment with them?
In year of 2021.
And when did your employment with them end?
I believe the end of 2022 or the beginning of 2023.
Okay. And what was your position at Petrangelo?
I was a laborer. I would go to the job site, get in a truck, and go to Philadelphia and work on the job sites
Okay.
and complete the task for the day.
Okay. And so you kind of walked me through it, but could you describe a typical day working for Petrangelo?
Yes, ma'am. I would show up at 6:30, sometimes 6:15, get into the foreman's truck. He would drive me to the job site. He would tell us what we're doing for the day, whether it be laying block or digging a hole, putting pipe in. We were working on environmental green pits where we would dig a hole, put plastic lining down, put pipe in, put new sewers in. And that would typically be the day. And then we would drive back to Jersey. I would get in my car and I would go home.
Okay, so you said you'd begin your day, you'd get there and you'd get in the foreman's truck. Where would you begin your day?
At the shop in Belmar.
Okay, so your day would begin and end at the shop in Belmar.
Yes, and they gave me that privilege because I lived in Jersey. And one of the foremans I knew, it would make it easier for me instead of driving my car to the job site every day. So I would go in the truck and then drive to the job site every day with him.
Okay.
Or the foreman I'm with.
But the majority of your work was as a laborer on job sites in Philadelphia.
Yes, all of it.
Okay. Did you ever complete an entire day's work at the yard?
No.
Oh, what type of work is done at the yard?
There's mechanics that work on machinery, which I'm not a mechanic. There's truck drivers that come in and out of the yard with material, which I don't have a CDL. And that's it. They
Okay.
park their trucks there and the foremen drive their trucks to Philadelphia because that's where their contract jobs are.
Okay. So, at the previous hearing, Petrangelo described you as being a material man, bringing materials from the yard to various job sites. Is that an accurate description of your employment with Petrangelo?
No, ma'am. There would be some people that would get called to bring material, but that would not be me. I was on the job site from 7 to 3 every day, or if there was overtime, I'd stay later. And that was it. Mainly all my work was in Philadelphia.
Okay. You say mainly, was your work ever on a different location?
I did work on a couple Jersey jobs. It wasn't for long. If somebody called out and they needed a laborer on a Jersey job, they called me and I went and did asphalt or sidewalks, whatever the job what needed to be done. I would go help them finish concrete on a Jersey job.
Okay. So between the years of 2021 and 2022, could you approximate how many days you spent in New Jersey?
About a week, like a day here, a day there. Just, it was just like if they needed somebody over in Jersey.
Okay. But the remainder of your time was spent in Philadelphia.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you testify, you're not a truck driver. Your job wasn't to drive materials from one site to another.
No, ma'am. I don't have my CDL.
Okay. So when you were working with Petrangelo, would you occasionally take photos on the job site?
Yes, so yeah, I'm like a, photo camera kind of guy, take a lot of pictures and stuff. And I like to take progress of what I did, I like to see from before and after and the progress that we made during the jobs because I was interested in the work.
Okay. If I showed you some of those photos, would you remember them?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I won't. Stop sharing. I will now share what's been previously marked and moved into the record as City Exhibit 2. And Mr. Smith, can you see what I'm displaying on the screen?
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
it's City Exhibit 2. I'm going to go down to page 8 of City Exhibit 2. Okay. Can you see this photograph? I can zoom in if you need me to.
No, ma'am, I can see it very clearly and I am very familiar with the job.
Okay. So did you take this photograph?
Yes, ma'am, on my cell phone.
And was this taken on the app or on a Snapchat? Was this a Snapchat photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
And does Snapchat, it has a date and time stamp as well as a location stamp?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is the date and location of this photograph?
The date is July 16, 2021 at 2:13 p.m. in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
And do you remember taking this photograph?
Yes, I do.
And do you remember what you were doing?
Yes, I do. I actually started that job from start to finish. It was a cobblestone street in the old Union City part of Philadelphia. And, we tore up the old street and then we relayed by hand, mixed sand, mixed concrete every day on my hands and knees and did every single one of those cobblestones and put the
Okay.
sidewalks in.
Okay. So I'm now going to move to, and this is just the same photo, but without that time and date stamp.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to show the progress and basically show my friends and family what I was doing because it's a historical street, by the way.
Okay. I'm now going to move to page 10 of City Exhibit 2. Okay. Can you see this photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that you in the photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what is the time and location of this photograph?
August 27th at of year 2021 at 8:08 a.m. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
And do you remember this photograph?
Yes, I do, clearly.
Do you remember what you were doing on this job site?
Yes, ma'am. I was mixing sand and concrete to create a form to set the cobblestones into the ground. It's
Okay.
called tamping. I was tamping.
Is that the same job site from the previous picture?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. I'll move on now to page 11. Can you see this photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you remember taking this photograph?
Yes, I do.
And you're also depicted in this photo?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what is the date and location of this photograph?
August 11th, 2021 at 12:33 p.m. in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay, and is this the same job site?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what was the stage of work at this point?
The stage at this point was we were continuing to lay cobblestones every day. You know, it was long days, so we started 7 in the morning, ended 3 or sometimes later. This specific job was by hand. There was really no machines. It was all labor work, mixing the sand and the concrete and laying every single stone by hand. So, as you can see, that's what we're doing.
Okay, I'm gonna move down to page 14. Okay. Can you see this photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is this you in the photograph?
Yes.
Do you remember taking this picture?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and what is the date and location of this photograph?
October 15th of 2021 at 8:10 a.m. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay, and is this the same job site or a different job site? If you can see.
That is the same job site.
Okay, same job site. So I'll move now down to page
That if you
15.
go back, oh no. If you actually go back up, it says the job site Thomas Paine, Philadelphia, that you just scrolled over. That's exactly where we were working. That's Thomas Paine Street. Yep, right there.
Okay, and that's the cobblestone street that you spent a while
Yes,
laying
ma'am.
these. Approximately how long did you spend on that location, if you remember?
I believe we were there for close to a year, if not 8, 9, 10 months, 10 months or so.
Okay. Okay. I'm now scrolling down to a different photograph. Do you recognize this photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you take this photograph?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what is the date and location of this photograph?
That is April 29th, 2022 at 1:20 p.m. Pennsylvania. I actually remember that job as well. It was at 7th and Rittner in South Philadelphia. It was at the park there that we put in environmental green pits.
Okay. So this is a different job on 7th and Rittner.
Yes, ma'am.
And how long were you on this job site? Do you remember?
That job was only a couple months, but you know, we would do a couple days here, a couple days there. Like I said, if they were waiting on material to come in, they would send us to another job site. Petrongo had a lot of several jobs opening. It seemed like none of them were getting finished, so they would just move us around to where they needed us.
Okay. Okay. I'm now going to scroll to page 17. Oh, I'll stop here on page 16. Now, this doesn't have a time stamp. Do you remember taking this photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what site you were on here?
Yes, that was the Thomas Paine Street, I believe. I see the cobblestones there, and yes, that's Thomas Paine Street.
Okay. Okay, now page 17. Do you recognize this photograph?
Yes, I do.
And what is the date and location that this photograph was taken?
August 3rd, 2021, 8:57 a.m., Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That was also Thomas Paine Street.
And you took this photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Scrolling down to page 18. Okay. Can you see this photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you take this photograph?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what is the date and location of this photograph?
June 28th, 2021 at 1:14 p.m. That was Philadelphia. Also, this was a North Jersey job of a sidewalk that we did. It was a smaller job. I believe I was only there a few days, but I helped finish that concrete form it and pour it.
Okay. You said it's a North Jersey job?
No, North Philadelphia.
North Philadelphia job. Okay. now I will scroll to page 22 of the city's exhibits. Can you see this photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what is the date and location of this photograph?
I can't see July 19th, 2021 at 11:53 a.m. I'm not sure if I had the July. Oh, there you go. July 23rd, 2021, 11:53 a.m.
Okay. And do you remember taking this photograph?
Yes.
Do you remember what job site you were on when you took this photograph?
Yes, I do. That was also a North Jersey job off of Rising Sun Street.
I'm sorry, you said North Jersey job again. Could you clarify
No,
what you
I'm
mean?
so sorry. I'm so sorry. North Philadelphia. Sorry about that.
Okay. So this is a North Philadelphia job off of Rising Sun Avenue, you said.
Yes, ma'am.
What type of work were you doing at this location?
We were also doing sidewalks, handicap ramps, basically street work in the city.
Oh, okay. I'm now going to scroll to page 25. Oh, here, it's page 23, actually. Can you see this photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that you depicted in the photograph?
Yes.
And what are you doing?
I am stamping the cobblestones together. We put the cement mix on top of them, and then we use a vibrator machine that shuffles the sand in between the cobblestones, and then we wet it, and it sticks together like concrete.
Okay. And what was the date and location that this photograph was taken?
That was August 27th, 2021 at 8:08 a.m. in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia,
Okay.
Pennsylvania.
And what location is this?
That
If
is
you
Thomas
remember.
Paine. That
Okay.
is Thomas Paine.
Okay. And now I will scroll to page 25. Okay. Can you see the photograph on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you take this picture or are you depicted in this picture?
That is me. Somebody
Okay.
took a picture. One of my coworkers took a picture of me.
Okay. And where are we here? What job site are you on?
That is also Thomas Paine across from the part that I was just showing you, the cobblestones. There was a brick sidewalk that was also historic that we had to replace and redo.
Okay. And what is the date of this photograph?
November 26, 2021 at 1:16 p.m. in Philadelphia.
Okay. And finally, page 26. Can you see this photograph?
Yes.
And is that you depicted in the photograph?
Yes.
Do you remember this location?
I don't know the exact location, but it's one of the jobs in Philly that I took somebody else's spot on. I guess somebody that called out and I was there for the day.
Okay. And what was the date and location that this photograph was taken?
That was May 6, 2022 at 8:12 a.m. Philadelphia.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I will stop sharing my screen. And so, Mr. Smith, we just saw a few photographs of you working on sites in Philadelphia with Petrangelo. The work that was depicted in the photograph, is that the work you would typically do?
Yes, ma'am.
So the entire time you were employed by Petrangelo, you were a laborer doing work like we saw depicted in the photographs.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you remember how much you were being paid back in 2021 and 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
How much were you being paid?
I was getting paid $25 an hour.
Okay. And I have no further questions for Mr. Smith at this time.
Thank you. Lauren, do you have any questions for Mr. Smith?
Benefits.
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
So you began. Okay, all right. You began your employment with Petrangelo in July of 2021. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And at that time, you were hired to work in the yard.
No.
Well, I know that you had just testified that your position was a laborer, but that's not correct, is it?
I just showed several documentations on me being a laborer on several different job sites in Philadelphia. Yes.
Well, you were actually hired to work at the yard and the shop, correct?
I didn't know that. Thanks for letting me know.
But you did work at the yard and the shop.
No, I didn't.
Well, there were times in which part of your job responsibilities required you to deliver materials to different projects, correct?
No.
But you did utilize the company's trucks in order to deliver materials to job sites.
No. If I was on a job site and I was asked to go to the yard and grab something, I would do my job and help the foreman out by going and grabbing the material. Yes.
But to clarify, in 2021, you were not assigned to work at a job site.
I was on a job site every single day.
Well, the yard is not a job site.
You're right. I wasn't assigned to the yard, ma'am.
Well, there's approximately about 6 employees of Stronglow that are assigned to work in the yard, correct?
I'm not sure. I'm not there, ma'am.
Well, those employees are not laborers, correct?
Yeah, correct. You got mechanics there, truck drivers there, of course.
And is Petrangelo a union shop?
Yes, they are.
When you were hired back in 2021, were you a member of the union?
No, object to relevance.
So it'll become relevant by way of testimony, which we indicate will support that he did not join the union until June of 2022. And at that point, he became a laborer.
They wouldn't let me in the union, and they said if the union comes on the
if I could
job
just
to walk
respond.
away.
I'll still object to relevance because we're here on a prevailing wage issue. Prevailing wages are owed to employees on Philadelphia job sites, on Philadelphia contract job sites, whether or not they're in the union or not.
Understood. However, this employee was not stationed on a job site at the time that he began with Petrangelo because he was not a member of the union. It was not until he became a member of the union and thus a laborer that his roles and responsibilities changed.
Go
I
ahead,
think we're
Amy.
still I was just waiting on a ruling on the objection.
Um, give me one moment.
He was on a union site.
I will allow Lauren to make the connection. Continue.
Thank you. So I'm going to repeat my question. At the time that you were hired, you were not a member of the union, correct?
Correct. Not by choice.
And it's fair to say that unions traditionally do not allow non-union members to work on their project sites, correct?
I'm going to
Typically,
object
but
as
not
it
with this-
calls
not-
for speculation. It's outside the scope of this witness's knowledge.
So at some
Continue.
point he did, sorry, can I respond?
Yes.
So at some point he did join the union and then was stationed on project sites. So he would have an understanding of whether or not non-union members worked alongside him.
With this company, we had a lot of non-union members, unfortunately, working on union job sites illegally.
I'll object to that. Moving on. So during the time that you began in 2021 and were not a member of the union, you were not covered by a union contract, correct?
Again, I'll object to the relevance for the purposes of this hearing.
I'll-
My
I don't know the
response
answer
is-
to that. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the response to the objection.
I'll
Yeah,
allow
my
her to make-
response,
Okay.
sorry, my response is exactly the same. It's that in June of 2022, which I seek to establish next, this employee then became a member of the union. His title at that point was changed, and then he was placed on job sites.
And I'll stipulate to the fact that he did become a member of the union. That was already testified to.
What was
Okay,
the date
so-
that Mr. Smith became a member of the union?
I
But-
have the date as June 21st, 2022.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any additional questions, Lauren?
Oh, yes, I was not sure if I could proceed since there was
Yeah, you can
an
proceed.
objection made. Okay,
Please.
thank you. So to clarify, you didn't join the union until June of 2022, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And in June of 2022, you became a laborer, correct?
No, ma'am. I was a laborer since I started in 2021.
Well, your roles and responsibilities changed in June of 2022.
Legally, when they actually put me in the union, yes, my role changed, but every day work has not changed. No, I did the same thing from start to finish throughout all those dates.
During 2021, your role was to deliver materials to job sites, correct?
No, ma'am.
Well, when you had delivered materials to project sites, you were not authorized to perform work on those sites, correct?
I'm
Yeah,
going to
you're not
object
speaking
as
about the
this,
same person.
this question is assuming facts, not in evidence. All of the testimony is that Mr. Smith has been a laborer. He's never testified to being a materials man. He's never testified to being a truck driver. So I think the phrasing of the question is inappropriate.
I'll withdraw. Who was your supervisor back in 2021?
I had several. There was different foremans, but I can name a few. Mike was a foreman of mine. Mike McLaughlin. Another foreman of mine. His name was Nick.
Are you familiar with an individual named Ryan Art?
Yes, I do. He used to be a supervisor of Petrongolo.
And he was your direct supervisor, correct?
He was everybody's direct supervisor. Yes.
And did Ryan Art ever ask that you work on job sites while you were making deliveries to his projects?
There's two answers to that. One, I was never delivered material to projects. I was always brought to a job site and worked. And two, no, he never asked me to do any of that. He would just send me to a job site with he would send the foreman. He would never directly tell me anything. His job is to tell the foreman to tell me and bring me to a job site. I never had direct contact with Ryan. He was the head boss, and I was just a laborer.
Well, Ryan Art supervised the yard, correct?
No, Ryan supervised all the job sites in Philadelphia. He would go to each job site to make sure they were all maintained correctly and progress was being completed.
You testified earlier that a foreman drove you to the job site. Who were you referring to?
Nick Pierce, he's been there for several years. Drove me every single day unless I had my own truck and I would drive to the yard, which was very rare because only foremen had their own trucks and I was just a laborer.
Who completed?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
No, that's okay. I
Oh.
paused midway. When you performed work, who did you report your hours to?
Yes, ma'am. The foreman would have a log in his truck that he wrote everybody's hours down. At the job site, we wouldn't leave the job site in Philadelphia until he would fill out the form, and then he would go back to the yard and submit it to whatever bosses that he had to. I'm assuming Ryan or the payroll guy. I don't know the answer to that. Sorry.
And did you ever see a copy of the daily logs?
I'd never seen a copy of the daily logs, but my specific foreman had a little crappy notebook with holes and paper marks on it. And he would just scribble people's hours down, which would show you why everybody's hours were messed up. And there was a lot of issues with our payroll with that company. Missing
And is
days,
Nick
missing
the foreman?
hours, missing times, missing locations, stuff like that, because it wasn't correctly documented.
You just said that you never saw the logs.
The daily log, he never had a daily log in his truck. He had a little scribble notebook. That's what I saw. I never seen a daily log, not one time. No, ma'am.
What document were you referring to?
The daily
You
log that
mentioned
you
that there
showed
was
on
a
the phone.
document that had missing information. I'm asking what document you were referring to.
He had a notepad in his truck that just put our name and hours, and he would do what he had to do. I'd never seen a daily log before. No, ma'am. Just a scribble in a notebook.
Understood, but maybe I misheard you. I thought you had just testified that there was some type of records kept that had missing information. I'm asking what document you were referring to.
That you must have mistaken me. I'm just testifying that you asked my foreman what if I seen a daily log before, and I testified I've never seen a daily log before. My foreman used a crappy notebook and would scribble stuff in there during the day. Yes, ma'am.
Understood, and that information would have included your name and the hours worked or where you're stationed, correct?
I'm not sure what's on it, but I know it should specify our name and hours. Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever see a copy of the notebook, or you just watched your supervisor fill out notes?
So personally,
within the notebook?
To be completely honest, I would make sure that he would put our hours in because the foreman was, all over the place and our checks would come wrong all the time. So I would basically make sure he wrote down our hours for the day, because everything was so incomplete, to be honest.
So you did have an opportunity to review the notebook?
No, ma'am. I'm saying I would tell him to write down our hours sitting next to him. That's what I'm testifying.
You just testified that you saw him write down inaccurate information. So I'm asking.
No. I don't know what he wrote on there. When I get my check and it's wrong and I know the hours I worked, that's what I'm testifying. That it's not adding up. The math isn't mathing, ma'am.
And did you ever make a complaint to your supervisor that the hours?
Several times. You brought his name up, Ryan. He was in charge. He was in charge of that. We would tell our foreman, and he was supposed to tell Ryan that our pay's wrong, and they would subtract hours and add hours when it's messed up. It was a complete mess. It was a nightmare. It was never correct.
Did you ever put your complaint in writing, either text message or email to one of your supervisors?
I would tell my foreman, payday, in person, we would get paper checks, and I would bring it to his attention. And his job, not my job, was to go to his supervisor and correct this problem. It was out of my league. I couldn't go up to the main bosses and say, hey, it's wrong, because they would look at us funny, they would be disrespectful, and they would laugh at us.
Again,
We
my
were looked
question
down
is,
upon.
did you ever write a complaint to your foreman or to the company regarding
I'm-
inaccurate pay?
I'm sure there were several text messages 4 or 5 years ago stating that my pay is wrong. Yes, ma'am. I have told my foreman that several times.
Okay, so then I'm gonna put on the record that we'd like to see those documents with alleged complaints regarding pay inaccuracies. Okay.
I don't have the
moving
same
to-
number from 5 years ago, but okay.
Well, we just looked at a number of Snapchats that you were able to locate, and my understanding is those go away the day that they're sent. So again, for the record, I'm requesting text messages and emails that this witness had sent making complaints of pay inaccuracies.
I'll object to any relevance of complaints of pay inaccuracies. We're here on a prevailing wage claim, which is a code violation, not a personal issue between an employer and his employee, an employee and his employer. I don't think any complaints bear any relevance to the code violation that was issued to Petrangelo contractors.
The response is that
Sis-
if the pay was inaccurate and a complaint was made, then that would be evidence to show that a higher rate should have been paid. Here, the witness's argument is that he was on a prevailing wage job, which would have led to a higher rate of pay. Again, if a complaint was made that he was entitled to additional pay, then that would be relevant evidence here. Yet, city has not produced any text messages or written complaints to show that this witness made a complaint that he was in fact entitled to a higher rate of pay.
I'm gonna sustain the city's objection.
Okay, so Petrangelo has a number of safety rules, correct?
Are you
I'll
asking me?
object to relevance.
So we are now going to explore the number of Snapchat messages that you had showed, and what the testimony will show is that Petrangelo had safety rules in place that prohibited the use of cell phones on job sites.
Are we
I-
here for safety violations or
Mr.
my pay
Smith,
being messed up?
Objection to the commentary.
Yes, I'll
Wait,
again.
we have an open objection from the city.
Yes, so my
And
objection.
now you've made another objection.
Well, my objection is to move
well-
to strike, and again, it's because there is an open objection right now.
Ms. Bess, if you could please respond to the city's argument.
So,
And
yeah,
then-
and I understood. So my response again is that the city had displayed a number of Snapchat pictures that were allegedly taken on job sites. This would have been prohibited conduct, which will be.
The labor board.
So-
Okay, I'm, again,
Yeah, come get me.
I am going to sustain the city's objection, and you can argue in closing that this should not have happened. Are you asserting these photos are fabricated, or that he shouldn't have done it? Because that seems like two different.
Yeah, so he was prohibited from using a phone on a job site. That said, again, the respondent's argument is that he was not in fact stationed during the 2021 and early 2022 period on a job site. Instead, he was simply making deliveries during that period of time. That standing, I can move on. However, I would ask that you instruct the witness to wait before responding while there's an open objection.
Mr. Smith, please wait before responding when there's an open objection.
Yes, ma'am, I
And then-
apologize about that.
I do move
Sorry.
to strike again his response that was made during the open objection.
That's fine.
Okay, all right, so I'll move back to the payroll records. So you filed a wage complaint, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
And in that complaint, you allege that you worked at different job sites, correct?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and I'll be displaying what was marked as Cities Exhibit 2. And I'll be specifically sharing page 34.
That's me.
Okay, so you can see the document that's now being displayed on the screen.
Yes, ma'am.
And can you read into the record the date that is listed
Yes, ma'am.
here on the Snapchat?
It's a little blurry. I'm sorry. I'm zooming in. I believe it says August 11th, 2021 at 12:33 p.m. in Philadelphia.
Great, I'm going to now share another document. Okay, so I'm now sharing what's been previously marked as PCI Exhibit 13, which is the daily log reports. So scrolling down here, can you read for me the date that is listed on this particular report?
Now, all I see is truck driver, and I wasn't a truck driver.
Can you read for me the date that is listed on this
Oh, yeah.
particular log?
Yeah, I apologize. Yes, that was August 11th, 2021. And it believes it
That's
looks
the
like somebody
same date.
scribbled in their yard. Looks like somebody just wrote in
So-
yard on there.
Let me finish. So this is the same date that was listed on the Snapchat photo that we just looked at, correct?
Yeah, it looks like the report was written after the fact, or it was definitely inaccurate. Yes, ma'am.
I
see it
object
plain and
to that.
clearly.
I object and move to strike the characterization that this document was produced after the fact. Employee has no knowledge of that.
Nothing.
It's his answer. It's not an improper question.
Okay, I'll move on. So the dates are the same, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and your name appears here under the Truck Driver Daily Report log, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
And
Is
what
that on the
hours?
computer? Is that on the computer screen, or is that handwritten? I'm confused.
So
It
what
looks
I
like
am
somebody just made
sharing
that up.
off of my computer screen are the daily log reports. These were physical documents that, for purposes of this hearing, were then scanned into the system and I'm now displaying on my computer.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Can you read for me the hours that are listed?
I just see the whole page is blank, and then it just says Andrew in 8, and it says yard, but everything else is blanked out. So I'm not really sure what I'm looking at.
Understood.
I've
So
never
this
seen one of these
column-
before.
Yeah, this column right here that says hours, can you read for me what is listed as the hours next to your name?
Yes, ma'am. It says 8 hours. I can see it.
Right, 8 hours. Is that traditionally the length of your shifts?
Usually it's 8 hours. Sometimes it's longer if we have overtime and need to finish a job. Yes.
And can you read for me where you were stationed on this particular date?
It says yard, but obviously the picture shows different that I was on a job site working at that date. So it's obviously inaccurate, but yes, ma'am, it says yard.
Well,
Anybody
just to
can write that.
confirm, the picture was taken on the job site. It does not depict that you are working on the site on that
Oh.
particular date.
Okay. All right. So I wasn't working in any of the pictures neither. I was just making it up for fun. I'm not sure
Again,
what you're trying to
you're
get here.
listed-
I don't know what you're trying to get here. Honestly, this is just cut and dry case, you know, it's
as a yard employee, part of your role was to drive materials to job sites, correct?
No, I was never hired to do that. Never. And I've never done that.
You were not
I
hired
was hired
as
to
a
be a
laborer.
laborer.
You
I
were
was
not hired
supposed
as
to be hired as a laborer.
at the non-union member.
That sounds like a legal issue to me.
One at a time, please. Mr. Smith, wait for a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. It's breaking out, so I'm like lagging. I apologize.
Just do your best. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Only after you joined the union in June of 2022 were you eligible to work on job assignments. Is that correct?
I was always working on job assignments, ma'am.
However, the
Nothing
records that
changed
we
when I
just
joined
looked
the
at,
union.
the records that we just looked at reflect that you were stationed at the yard, correct?
Ma'am, anybody could write that. Let's be honest. I've never seen that before.
I understand your testimony, but I'm asking you to confirm that the document that we're looking at has you stationed at the yard, correct?
You're asking me to admit something that's wrong, ma'am. In all honesty, I'm sorry. You want me to answer it the way
I'm
you want me
asking-
to, but I'm being honest.
I am simply asking you to read where you are stationed on this particular sheet. I understand what your position is, but again, this document reflects that you are stationed at the yard, correct?
Can we just
Ma'am,
clarify the
yes.
question? Are you asking him to read where he was stationed or where this document purports him to be stationed?
Where the document according to you purports him to be stationed.
It says yard, ma'am. It's written yard. Yes, ma'am. I see it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And it's your understanding that, and I'm going to stop screen sharing for a moment, that daily logs were kept to record employees' hours, correct?
I've never seen daily logs, to be personally honest with you. I've just seen the foreman write down our hours on a notebook. I've never seen daily logs. And that's dead
And the-
honest.
And your foreman wrote down your hours on a daily basis, correct?
Objection to outside
Supposed
the
to.
scope of his knowledge, yeah. She's asking
He
him
is-
what his foreman did.
He has
might-
testified at length that he has sat next to his foreman who wrote down his hours. So I'm asking him to clarify whether that happened on a daily basis.
As I heard it, he testified that he saw his foreman write it in a notebook. Are you asking him to testify that he saw that or something else?
Nope, that's exactly what I'm asking. Since he testified that he saw his foreman write down hours in a notebook, I'm asking if that was done on a daily basis.
No
Thank you.
objection. to that.
Oh,
Go
am
ahead.
I answering? I'm sorry.
Yes, yes.
It was supposed to be done on a daily basis, man, but sometimes we had to remind them because things were wrong a lot. Our hours weren't put in correctly, very inconsistently. So yes, we would tell him to write down our hours and he would forget and whatever the case happens. But yes, we would remind him to do that. And whatever he did after we left is up to the boss, you know. I'm not there 24/7 around him or what he does or what he submits in the computer.
But again, you testified that you would sit next to your foreman as he would write down your hours, correct?
You're speaking as I said this happened every single time. I said on the record that I've seen him witness and all these times have done it. Yes, ma'am, but it's not a consistent thing that
And that's
happened every day.
exactly my question, was whether or not that happened on a daily basis.
Oh yeah, it wasn't daily, man. It wasn't every day.
You
thing.
did not see him, or he did not record
Yes.
your hours on a daily basis?
Both. I could testify to both. Some days we wouldn't do it and we'd be missing hours. And also I didn't see him do it every day. It wasn't my job duty to worry about that.
Now, how did you receive your daily assignments for the day? Were they verbally articulated to you, or did you receive some type of documentation showing where you're stationed?
No, there was never any documentation, unless, the foreman somehow was out and I would drive the truck to the job. He would send a text as was shown on there, it would say exactly where to be at, but I would just drive in a truck with the foreman. So he wouldn't tell me directly. The foreman would just go to the job. Like I said, that's out of my hands where I was going every day.
So you have no documentation to show that you were assigned to job sites in 2021 and early 2022, correct?
Other than the photos that I showed on job sites working, I don't have anything to show now.
Okay,
don't
no
live
further
back in,
questions
like,
at
a
this
bubble.
time.
Just a brief redirect, just to clarify a few issues. So Mr. Smith, I believe we may have covered this, but did you ever spend a full day in the yard?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you ever spend a full day transporting materials from the yard to a job site?
Never.
Okay. And your testimony about your foreman writing your hours in a book. It's your testimony that you would remind him to do this.
Yes, ma'am.
How often would you see him writing in the book?
Once in a while. Like I said, it wasn't my duty to really keep track of it. But if it came up, I'd be like, hey, can you write our hours down? So I knew I was getting paid for that day,
Okay. And just the photographs we walked through, you took all those photographs. You remember taking them. They're fair and accurate depictions of yourself on those job sites?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have no further questions for Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Do any board, go ahead. Did you have
I was
something
just going to say, at the last hearing, City Exhibit 2 was moved into the record before a limited purpose of its effect on the listener. I would like to move City Exhibit 2 into the record for the truth of the matter today.
That's fine. Do you want to show the exhibit or
Oh, it was
She showed
it's
it.
already in there?
yes.
Ms.
Okay.
Bratz, do you have an objection?
No objection.
Okay.
Thank you. Do any board members have a question for Mr. Smith? Go ahead, Dan. No question?
No, I'm good. I answered, I got it over here. I'm good. Thank you.
Mr. Odding, anything?
Yeah, the term labor covers an awful lot. Mr. Smith, I'd just like to know, did your job vary every day from, I saw you tamping one day, were you actually laying the bricks in the sand also?
Yes, sir. I laid the cobblestones, mixed cement. I did everything that needed to be done on a job site.
So at whose direction, or did you do this from experience, or did somebody, a foreman of some sort, direct you what you were to do those particular days?
There was a foreman there, but usually we got the gist of when we showed up, after what was done the day prior, we would jump on it and finish it the next day. It was like a continuous thing. We would go there and know what to do, but there was a foreman there to let us know.
This may not be a proper question, but did any union organizers or union representatives talk to you while you were on the job site before you got in the union?
Yes, sir. A union came on the job site and filed a complaint for non-union members working on union job sites. Yes, sir.
So they knew you were on a job site.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I got a question for that. When was that?
I don't have the exact date, sir, but this all actually came from the city of Philadelphia. They made their own complaint because they came on the job and asked us for our union books, and I didn't have one. I was working on a job site without a union book. So they made the complaint.
So who did, the city?
Yes, sir. The city came out, a guy from the city came out on the job site and took my information down on one of our job sites.
Does anybody from the city have any of that information, Amy?
This case, the case we're here for today started, there was an inspection that was done. However, Mr. Smith at that time was a member of the union. He reported not being paid the prevailing wages before that. I know the date of that inspection. I'm not aware of any inspection. So our original inspection for this case occurred February 7th of 2023. At that point, Mr. Smith was a part of the union. He did report not being paid the prevailing wages for the previous few years. I'm not aware of an inspection that took place when Mr. Smith was not a member of the union.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, I do have another question, if it's okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Smith, the $25 that you quoted, was that a total amount of money you made? Were there any benefits taken out or anything at those times?
No, I just was making 25 an hour.
So then after you got in the union, did that change?
Yes, sir. It changed once I got in the union. I was getting the correct wage.
Okay. So the person who investigated on a job from the city, he indicated the work you were doing was supposed to be at a certain rate. And you didn't, not so much whether you're in the union or not. I mean, I don't know whether you asked that question.
Yes.
But his
Yes, sir.
indication
Yes.
was you should have been making a certain amount of money and you weren't. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Do the board members have any additional questions?
I do not.
Okay. Does the
Okay.
city have any additional witnesses?
No additional witnesses. And I believe I've moved all of the exhibits into the record. So we would rest at this time.
Okay. We are going to move on to closing arguments. And the city, you can go first.
Okay. So
Wait, just, do you have any rebuttal witnesses testimony, Ms. Best?
I'm sorry.
I do not. I do just want to ensure that the additional exhibits that are marked as 9 through 12 also get moved into evidence. Those are ones that were previously supplied subsequent to the prior hearing that took place. There was
No objection.
testimony at that time describing and authenticating the documents, but I believe they were not produced until afterward.
Ms. Skiles, any
Excuse-
objection?
no
Excuse me.
objection.
May I be dismissed for 5 minutes real quick?
Ms. Skiles, you want to talk to your witness?
Could we just
Can we'll
Have a-
just
Can
take
you
a
guys keep
5-minute
going?
break.
Do you need me here?
Okay. Well, I think I'll
I'm
agree
sorry,
with
I'm at child
Can-
custody court right now. I let the city know. I just had to go for 5 minutes and I'll be right back. I apologize. The judge is calling me.
Okay,
So, sorry.
you can.
I can leave my phone on
can
and I can just come right
excuse him,
back.
I have
Cindy?
no further questions. I think he can be
Okay,
excused if
yeah.
there are no further
Thank
questions.
you, Mr. Smith.
All right. Thank you so much. I
Okay.
apologize. I did let them know ahead of time. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Do you have anything else, Ellen?
No, you had asked them for closing and I just wanted to make sure that
Okay.
Ms. Best didn't have any other witnesses or testimony to present.
I do not. No,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay.
Understood. Thank you. Go ahead, Amy.
Yes. Okay. So just to round up, in kind of summary, the two hearings that we've had on this case. Back in January of 2025, this board heard from Marcus Nabred, the inspector who went out to the job site, who met Mr. Smith and heard about this initial issue of Mr. Smith not being paid the prevailing wage. You next heard from Stephen Sims, who collected further information from Mr. Smith, those Snapchat photographs, pay stubs, W-2s. After that, the board heard from Mr. DiVirgilio, who further testified about his investigation, how he reviewed all of the witness statements, all of the documents, and made the determination that Mr. Smith had not been paid the prevailing wage, which the Labor Standards Unit had determined he was entitled to for a period of time. You'll just give me a brief moment. For a period of time from July 21st, 2021 to July 2021 to December of 2021, and then again from January of 2022 to June 2022. Mr. DiVirgilio testified that Mr. Smith was entitled to this prevailing wage, whether he was a member of the union or not, that anytime an individual is working on a project under a city contract, they're entitled to the prevailing wage, and that being a member of a union or not being a member of the union, it does not preclude you from being paid that prevailing wage. You heard from Mr. Smith today, who we believe testified very credibly. You heard from him that he was never hired to work in the yard. He never completed a full day's work in the yard. He was not hired as a truck driver. He was not a materials man. He was not bringing materials from one site to another. He was not driving a truck. He was hired as a laborer and did the work associated with being a laborer on City of Philadelphia job sites. He walked you through photographs depicting him on City of Philadelphia job sites. We have from Petrangelo today these hour logs. They're not signed by a foreman. We don't know who made them. We don't know when they were made. And I do think it's interesting that we have the date of August 11th, where we have a picture of Mr. Smith working at a Philadelphia job site, and also a log that indicates Mr. Smith was stationed at the yard. I think I would just ask the board to give the evidence the weight it deserves. And we think the significant weight of the evidence is on Mr. Smith's side, is on the Labor Standard Unit side. I think the evidence shows that Mr. Smith was working as a laborer on Philadelphia job sites, even though the Petrangelo documents may indicate otherwise. We believe that the weight of the photographs far outweighs these payrolls or hour logs, and we would ask this board to uphold and affirm the decision of the Labor Standards Unit. Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you. Lauren?
Yes, thank you. So as the board directed at the close of the prior hearing, Petrangelo has now produced the daily work records for Mr. Smith for all of the 2021 period that he worked. These records are marked and offered as Respondents Exhibit PCI 13, as we reviewed here today. They were authenticated by our witness, Amadeo Petrangelo, who now serves as a project manager, but at the relevant time was one of the foremen responsible for daily crew assignments and timekeeping. Petrangelo testified that these daily records were created and maintained in the ordinary course of Petrangelo's business, contemporaneously with work that's performed, and they constitute the company's official contemporaneous record of where each employee, including Mr. Smith, was physically assigned and worked on any given day. These records are dispositive. They show without exception that from the commencement of Mr. Smith's employment in 2021 until he joined the Labor's Local 57 in June of 2022, that he was assigned exclusively to the company's yard in Belmar, New Jersey. He performed yard maintenance, material handling, equipment staging, deliveries, and other related support functions, none of which constitute work on a Philadelphia Public Works project. He was not assigned, nor did he perform any covered labor work on any of the 4 Philadelphia project sites that are referenced within the citation. In fact, on days when Mr. Smith allegedly took the Snapchats, as we saw here today, the records clearly demonstrate that he was assigned to the yard on those dates. At the prior hearing, the board heard from Dan Petrangelo, who testified that individuals that work on project sites must be members of the union. Here, as the witness testified, he did not become a member of the union until June of 2022. Now, once Mr. Smith became a union journeyman in June of 22, he was immediately placed on prevailing wage Philadelphia projects and paid the full union package, base wages plus fringes required by both the collective bargaining agreement and by extension, the prevailing wage rate. The payroll records already in evidence confirm that the transition and the resulting increase in both his hourly rate and fringe benefit contributions were related to his entry into the union. Petrangelo has now supplied the very records the board requested, the daily timesheets kept in the ordinary course of business, together with live testimony from Mr. Petrangelo, who was a supervisor of individuals that performed work. Those records prove that Mr. Smith performed no covered work on any Philadelphia prevailing wage project prior to joining the union in June of 22. There's therefore no basis in factor law for the citation or assessment. We respectfully request that the board grant Petrangelo's appeal in full, vacating the labor unit citation and assessment and close of this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. So that concludes today's hearing of Smith versus Petrangelo. We appreciate everyone taking the time. And we will take all of this under advisement. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could the court reporter remain just for a minute?
Brian, is the committee staying on or not?
Yeah, the
Yes.
committee's gonna stay on. I'm gonna end the recording right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, you can, not take notes or.
Hello, everybody. We are returning to the April 8th, 2026 meeting of the Board of Labor Standards. Today, the board heard testimony in the matter of Smith versus Petrangelo. Is there a motion?
There's a motion. I'll make a motion that we deny the Petrangelo appeal.
Okay, Mr. Iding makes a motion to deny the appeal from Petrangelo. I will take roll.
If you
Is
need-
there a second?
I second it. Second
We have
motion.
a second from Dan Sullivan, and now I will take roll. Daisy Cruz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Pat Iding,
Yes,
Dan Sullivan,
Yes.
and myself, Brian Clinton, is a yes. That is 4 yeses. So the motion passes. The Board of Labor Standards denies the appeal on behalf of Petrangelo. Okay, thanks, everyone. We appreciate your
Thank
time
you.
today. We look
All
forward to
right.
hearing from you. Yes,
Thank
ma'am?
you.
Thank you.
It was nice meeting
thank
you all.
you.
All right, thanks,
Have a
guys.
good week.
Bye-bye.
Hi.
Thanks, Amy. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy. We appreciate
I
your help.
promise you, next month will be